Did you eat breakfast this morning?
I did.
You did?
I did.
What's this thing with you and Dr. Oz?
You know, I was literally walking out of, I think, a dentist appointment in Beverly Hills, and I was getting in my car, and a guy stuck a camera in my face, and he was like, what do you think about Dr. Oz telling you not to eat breakfast? And I said, I don't care what Dr. Oz has to say. You know, I had never met him. I'd never spoken to him. I'm kind of like old school routine guy. Whatever I have to do for the part that I'm training for is what I do. So if that's putting on weight or losing weight, I've been on liquid diets. I've been 212 pounds to 137 pounds. So whatever I have to do, I do. And then it just kind of started this whole thing, and it took on a life of its own. So then he started talking about wanting to work out with me, and I said I'd gladly, put him on a defibrillator if he tried to work out with me. And then we actually connected yesterday, and we worked out together. I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into, but he was a trooper. And it's funny because I just trained for a movie where for 6 months I was super disciplined, didn't have a drop of wine, didn't have any carbs, anything, but I was eating 7-8 meals a day, and everyone was loaded with protein. And I got a little bit of a leaky gut, so it was like I went on a cleanse. I did a bone broth cleanse, and been plant-based for like 3 weeks now. But I still had a big breakfast before the workout.
Right.
And but I'm definitely more conscious. If I wasn't working or preparing for a role, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't eat or intermittent fast for 12 hours. It's not necessarily my thing, but I understand how it works. And I lost 10 pounds in like 5 days. So
let me ask you this: did you beat him down a little bit?
Oh, I squashed him like a grape.
Yeah.
That poor thing, he didn't know what was happening. He really didn't. I seen him, he's huffing and puffing and breathing, and his crew was there, and they were all worried about him. And we did the first loop. We were at F45, and we did the first loop, and he thought it was over. He was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. I said, bro, we're just having a 45-second water break, and we're right back to the grind. We still got another half an hour to go. But he was a trooper. He sent me a message today saying, thanks for letting me play in my sandbox. And he said he's sore in muscles that he didn't know he had. He didn't know the names of those muscles, that he had to look them up.
That's funny.
But he was a great sport, and I love what he's doing. I mean, he's really, he's dedicated his life to getting people to be healthier.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Which makes people happier. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about Spencer.
Yeah.
Did you watch Spencer for Hire when you were a kid?
Of course. I mean, that and the Brinks Job movie were the only really kind of recognizable places in Boston that I would see on screen. So I fell in love with the series. This is based on the book, not the series. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, and I was also a big cinema guy. My dad was a truck driver. He would take me to the movies every day. We'd see movies that were a little inappropriate for me, but it's still, that was our thing. And I got introduced to Robert Ryan, John Garfield, Jimmy Cagney, Steve McQueen, guys like that. So I had this huge love for them.
Did you think then, I want to do that?
No. Absolutely not. It was impossible. Nobody from Boston had ever left, certainly from my neighborhood, had ever left and gone on to be in the movies or on television. So it was like, okay, if I'm not going to be an athlete, and I ain't going to be a cop, I got to be a crook. I mean, you only have so many choices there. And it's funny because that was the mentality, even though you think about it, some of the best, educational institutes in the world are all right there, but didn't really seem like they were accessible to us. Right. So it wasn't until I became successful in music, and then I met Penny Marshall, who gave me my first shot. And then, of course, once I had that first acting experience, I didn't want to do anything else. I really felt like I had found my niche.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about Spencer a little bit. For people who don't remember the television series, you're a cop, gets incarcerated, gets framed, gets out, and you basically can't say no to
injustice. Yeah, innocent people getting wronged. It's one of those things where, but in this, he doesn't get framed. He actually says, you know what, no, I'm going to take it upon myself to basically right or wrong. There was a homicide investigation that's kind of being swept under the rug by some higher-ups in the department. So I go to them, I confront them, and I see that he is not a good, honest cop. So I take the law into my own hands and put my hands on him, and he ends up getting 5 years, survives in general population, gets out, is about to leave, and of course gets sucked back in. And it's a great character, reluctant hero that people can really root for. A lot of humor, a lot of heart, and there's some stakes there. So I think people are thoroughly enjoying it.
When you go back to Boston and shoot a series, a movie like this, and it's about dirty Boston cops, do they say, does it have to be about dirty Boston cops again?
Yeah, there is a little bit of that, but then there's also, an appreciation because we're bringing a lot of jobs there. It's my hometown. We literally shot, you talk about coming full circle. We shot at 24 Pebble Street, which was Alan Arkin's character's home, and I lived at 25 Pebble Street. So we're sitting on my stoop where I would sneak out at night or steal my mom's car or do things that I wasn't supposed to do. And now here I was producing and starring in a film and, creating hundreds of jobs for people and hopefully inspiring inner city kids and at-risk youth and kids like myself that anything is possible. And no matter where you're starting, to aspire to, achieve your goals.
Right. As you're sitting on the stoop and you're seeing lights set, crews all over the place, cables everywhere. There's a lot of stuff going on just to set even a picture in a movie. Was there a pinch yourself moment, or just like, I can't friggin' believe this?
Oh, there was quite a few. Because being there, I have so many memories of being right there on that stoop. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Full confession. 11 o'clock at night. It's time to go to bed. My wife says, I'm heading off. I said, I'm just going to, surf. If Ted's on, I can't not watch.
It's a good one.
It's a problem.
It's a good one.
I think there may need to be like a Ted's Anonymous. I need a 12-step program. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's one or two.
Yeah.
I text my sons.
Yeah.
Ted's on.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I remember it was just, and we hadn't talked to each other since The Fighter. So I had gotten the call about the movie from Ari Emanuel, who also happened to be Seth MacFarlane's agent, and says, I got the next movie for you. It's about a guy and a teddy bear, and I basically hang up the phone. And then he's like, no, I'm telling you, the script is fantastic. You got to read the script. He said it would be like the experience of you reading Boogie Nights. It's like, this could be the greatest thing ever or it could be the worst thing ever, but there's a good chance it could be fantastic. So I then read the script, met with Seth, committed to making the movie. I saw The Test with the Bear, and I thought, if we pull this off, this could be great, because it was one of the great buddy comedies that I had ever read. And then we're driving to the Oscars, and my wife is like, what are you doing next? And I said, we're trying to explain. It's a hard movie to pitch.
Because you had been nominated.
Yeah, so it's a hard movie to pitch. And she's like, well, enjoy tonight, because you'll never be back to the Oscars again. And I haven't been nominated since, but Seth was, I think Seth hosted, and Ted and I appeared, and we presented at the Oscars. But still, it's the most successful R-rated comedy of all time. And if I turn it on at any time, I cannot help but sit there and watch it and just laugh out loud. It was absolutely hysterical.
It's so fantastically inappropriate.
Yes. Oh, God. It's funny because I was just meeting with a supermarket chain, high-end convenience store, healthy convenience stores in Oregon. And first thing they started talking about was Ted and people doing inappropriate stuff in the freezer and, parsnips and selling them to a family of four. And it's like, and the guy Ted literally not wanting the job, so he's saying whatever he can to the boss, and he gets a promotion and a raise. And
right. Should there be a Ted 3?
It's one of those things where Ted 2 wasn't as good as Ted. Let's just be honest.
There are parts of Ted 2 that
yes,
stand up.
But Ted 1 was a classic. So I think it's one of those things where, I don't know, if we can make it as good or better than the first, then it's worth exploring, but
right.
I don't know.
Now, did you bring Spencer to Netflix, or did Netflix call you and say, what did you want to do?
No, they had it. Neil Moritz had been talking to me about it and asked me if I wanted to do it. Pete and I, obviously, we're like brothers now. Yeah, so this is our 5th film together. And Brian Helgeland, who's a fantastic writer. So we just said, let's take a look at it, and, fell in love with the script and the idea of making that movie.
Yeah. I love the woman who plays your love interest.
Yes, Eliza.
In this film.
Yeah, she's very funny.
There are some Ted-like aspects to that.
She's got the tough Boston girl thing down. Yes. So
right.
If you think about Ted's girlfriend, or the sisters in Fighter,
yeah.
The Ward Eklund girls, and then her. Yeah, she's right up there with them.
Yeah. You could do anything. Your movies have grossed more than $5 billion. You have a zillion businesses, right? You have the gym business. You've got a supplement business,
Sports nutrition,
You-
restaurant business,
restaurant, you have a Wahlburgers,
car business.
right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do you figure out what to do next?
I want to do things that I'm passionate about, and that I can. I don't do anything passive. I'm not saying, okay, yeah, if I can bring real, be a great strategic partner, bring real value to the equation, then yes. And it's something that I got to be passionate about. And with anything with fitness and health and wellness, it's just a direct extension of who I am. That's why I click so much with Dr. Oz. I mean, if we can motivate and inspire people to be healthier, they're going to be happier, they're going to feel good, they're going to want to look good, and it's a beautiful thing. Life is precious, so why not try to extend it as long as possible. But things that I can really be involved with, and also being involved with and partnering up with real serious adults in that space. Because I think the restaurant business is the first time I've been in that business. Learning as we go. Everything has been a growing, and learning experience and a challenge. So
Yeah. I'm very curious about your routine, because as I've read different pieces about you, there's the 2:30 in the morning, maybe it's 3:30 in the morning, there's the workout. But the thing I'm most intrigued by is that you take time every day to pray.
that's the most important thing. I take a day off. I take 2 days a week off from the gym now. I don't take a day off from getting on my hands and my knees and reading my prayer book and my daily devotionals and first of all, expressing the gratitude that I have for all the blessings that have been bestowed upon me, and then of course asking for the strength and guidance to be able to use the talents and gifts that God's given me to help others and inspire and know what right is and to do so. Be the best husband I can be, best father I can be.
How much
be an
time do you
example.
take? How much time does it take?
It's funny because as I meet people along the way, and I add people to my prayers, if I see somebody in the public eye, or that I read in the newspaper, somebody that's struggling, somebody that has a child that's having, health issues, stuff like that, I add them to my prayers, and I usually end up keeping them in my prayers. So it's now like, about 20 minutes of actual praying, and then, my reading and stuff like that.
Right? Do you have favorite scripture?
The daily devotional every day. I think, the idea of being good soil and bearing good fruit, where it's sprinkled, how it's used, how you absorb that information, do you really retain that information? Those are the more powerful things.
How does it inform your day?
It just puts things in perspective, I mean, I remind myself every day how fortunate I am, and how blessed I am, and how so many people are not. And to be able to just kind of, remind myself what I should be doing, how I should be doing it, to be a positive, productive member of the community and the church. It's what's keeping me going. I think if I've been put in this position for a reason, it's not to forget about where I came from. I have to utilize these talents and gifts that have been given to me to help others, to inspire others. So that's a challenge, because if you're given all these things and you don't do the right thing with them, it's not going to be good.
There is a verse in the Bible that says, to whom much has been given, much
Yes.
is not expected, but actually required.
Yes, of course. And you think about those talents and gifts that you were given. Somebody was given one little gift and talent, and he didn't want to take any risk. He didn't go and utilize it and get his tenfold on his investment, and he buried it in the ground. And God didn't like that.
He was not impressed.
No, not at all.
It's amazing to me to be in the business you're in, and for us to be sitting here having this conversation. Does anybody ever ask you about it? Does anybody ever say, any of your colleagues say, what do you get out of it? Or does anybody ever say, oh, I read about you doing all this Bible stuff?
Yeah. Look, I will not hide the fact that I love the Lord, and that, I want to be committed to serving the Lord, but I also don't jam it down anybody's throat. But it's better to never have known God than to, deny God. I mean, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. So that being said, there are people that I'm close to that I will send devotionals to and try to encourage them. It's like when people dealing with loss, and it seems like now, as I'm 48 years old, dealing with a lot more loss now than I ever had. It seems like every other day I'm losing somebody that I know, that I'm close to. And so, when people are dealing with loss and knowing that, it could be devastating to somebody, but also what comfort and joy does it bring when you know that there is something else? There is now no more pain, no more suffering, an eternity of love and joy and all those things. And even if you live to 150, life is still short, right? Mm. So I don't know. It gives me comfort.
Does it make you a better parent?
Yeah. I mean, I pray for the patients. It's also too with my kids. I want to be an example to my children. They're getting a faith-based education, but I don't force them to go to church with me. But they know that it is not, it's not even an option for me to not go to Mass or to not take my time to pray and to do those things. And hopefully they'll say, wow, well, that works for Dad, and maybe they'll get a little bit more curious and they'll slowly start to gravitate towards that.
Right.
But I got to be an example, with my work ethic, with my commitment to my faith, my commitment to my family.
Right.
And those things.
So speaking of family, I've been hearing about your dog, and if Mark Wahlberg going to have a dog, I'm not sure if I were going to write that script, it would be the dog you have.
I got the dog because my kids really wanted a dog. We've been very unsuccessful with pets. I mean, we had a bulldog that ate all the furniture. We had cats who would we live in a big house, they would just find my shower mat, and I'm allergic to cats, and go to the bathroom on my shower mat. So we've been very unsuccessful with pets. So I saw a gentleman holding a dog that was just a tiny little miniature Pomeranian. I said, is that as big as that dog gets? He said, yes. I goes, how big is his poop? He goes, oh, it's like a tiny little Tootsie Roll. I said, we can handle that. And it's really cute. So I literally got the dog that day. This dog is tearing up the house. I mean, we have the most expensive dog trainer, and we're now we all have to come around and basically learn how to cater to the dog. And I'm like, I saw a giant turd this morning, and then, he'll come into the dining room, poop on the carpet, wipe his bottom on the carpet too, and then just walk out and look at me like, are you going to get that? And go out the door. But it's brought so much joy to the kids, I mean, they love him. My wife loves him.
Movie tough guy, right? Mark Wahlberg has a dog this big that runs his life.
And you know what? I'm telling you, if you come in the house, he's going to try to take a chunk out of your finger or something. He thinks he's a Rottweiler. He thinks he's a pit bull for sure. Yeah, I've had the Mastiffs. I mean, we've done it all. Yeah, my son would be very happy that Champ is brought up. Now he'll sit down and watch this interview because he's running Champ's Instagram account, and he's hoping that if Champ now gets over 100,000 followers, that's his new mission in life. He's basically Champ's manager. Yeah.
Well, Champ is going to turn into an influencer.
Yeah. Hey.
Right.
As long as he doesn't poop on the floor anymore, I'm good.
A man who has such control over his life has no. I mean, I find it, at minimum, really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. A couple of other things. As I was reading through all of your stuff, is $6 Million Man still alive anyplace?
Yeah, we were supposed to get a script this weekend. I mean, again, this is, one of those things. Hopefully, it's worth the wait. I mean, we've been developing this thing for quite some time. We have Bill Dubuque now writing the script, who is a fantastic screenwriter. We've got a great idea, but it's like The Fighter. There's a ticking clock because I'm only able to play this part for so long. It's got to happen soon. I'm hoping within this year. Hopefully, we'll be making it in the fall.
But when you look in the mirror, do you see a 48-year-old guy?
You know what? Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I feel like I can't get up and I feel like I'm an 88-year-old guy. And then sometimes I feel like I'm an 18-year-old guy. It just depends on the day and what I'm doing, what I did for the last 16 hours.
Because so much of what your work has been about has been very active, very active roles. Do you think about, okay, so I'm maybe going over this 50 threshold. Does it have to change in some way, shape, or form? Or do you know, I can't do that part after a certain age?
Yeah, I mean, I just did a movie where it's probably more physically demanding than anything I've done. And I was good, but I'm also not so gung-ho where I'm like, oh, I have to do everything. I got 2 or 3 guys that look just like me, and they're younger, and they're more fit and more capable. I don't mind them getting in there. I'm not the kind of thrill seeker that I used to be. I'm a little bit more, just a little more cautious in, you know, what I do and how I do it. You know, like if I'm snowboarding with my kids and they're like, Dad, let's hit this double black diamond. You know, I'm like,
Let's take it down a notch.
yeah. So it really depends. But I think, you know, I'm actually, now that I'm training smarter, I'm eating better, I do feel better. You know, I'm not, everything's more about functional movement now and stuff like that, as opposed to trying to be the biggest and strongest.
I remember interviewing you once, and you had been working on the movie about the guy who joined the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Vince Papale.
Yeah. And you were beat to smithereens.
Yeah.
No more?
You know what? That was one of my childhood dreams come true. You know, to be able to put on an NFL uniform and get out there with the big boys. And you know, I like lighting people up more than I like getting lit up. But yeah, I mean, that was a tough one. You know, it was a tough one. But I do feel better now than I felt then, physically, because I've changed now. I let myself recover. I'll take a day off. I know when I need to kind of go easy. And just, you know, being a little bit more smart. I was hard-headed for quite some time.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
So your character's been in prison for 5 years, and he gets out. Has the world changed when he's been incarcerated?
I mean, I haven't been incarcerated in quite a long time. The world's still changing every day with technology for me. So, and I've had quite a few friends who have been in and out and have experienced the change in technology and the change in times. So I thought that was a very, very funny moment, actually. You know, I picked that up from some friends of mine who had gotten out and, you know, trying to figure out an iPhone and to understand how to text and send pictures and all that stuff, where they were storing stuff.
So people you knew
Yes.
or know who had been incarcerated who said, like, what is this thing?
Yeah. While we were making the movie, and took him to a Patriots game. You know, took him to see all the guys and everything, and they were like trying to take pictures, didn't know how to do it.
Right. Your friend Tom Brady, where do you want him to end up?
Wherever he wants to be, wherever makes him and his family happy. I mean, as a Patriots fan, I think would it be nice for him to finish his career having played for one team. But you know what? He's got more left in the tank, and if they let him go, he wants to go somewhere else. Hopefully he'll go there and be just as successful. I'll root for him. But I'm rooting for him as a person, as a father and as a husband, to do what's right for him and his family. I mean, how much more can you ask from a guy who's given us so much? I mean, 2 plays away from 8. I mean, it's remarkable. So, you know, wish him nothing but the best. And just, I think everybody should just appreciate all that he's done for New England.
Yeah. So I was on the morning show at CBS. We'd done an interview about the fighter. And do you know what happened at the end? Because it was one of my last shows on morning TV. You kissed my feet.
Oh, yes. Well, listen, you have been not only somebody who I've admired for such a long time, but you've also been very, very kind to me for such a long time. And I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate your work ethic.
Well, thank you.
Right? Where you were, where you're going.
Yeah. Well, hopefully my kids do, and that rubs off on them. That's the thing. I just want them to, you know, whatever they decide to do, I'm going to support them 110%, and just, you know, put in the work, be the best that they can. I think because if you don't do the work and then it doesn't work out, you live with regret. I don't want them to live with regret. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but if you put it all out there, you prepare as much as possible, then you feel good about it, you know?
Thanks.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.